What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chaos. My name is Brad. Stock market is crazy and chaotic, and I made it my mission to help you guys own it. Pretty crazy day in the markets, but we'll get into that as well as reacting to these earnings that we continue to react to. I knew in my head what I was going to say, and then I just jacked it all up. But either way, welcome, guys. We're going to be reacting to earnings today. That is PPG, CSX, and First Financial Bank, which I think is going to be an interesting one. And I talked about this yesterday, that I thought First Financial Bank, especially with the way that the regional banks have been treated over the last month or so, will be interesting to see. You know, we saw WAL, Western Alliance, do some pretty interesting stuff after their earnings on Monday. So, you know, could we see something from First Financial in a similar fashion? We're going to watch to see if that actually is the thing. Before I get into started anything else, which includes Tesla and WTF with that stock today, I wanted to welcome my starting five: Kevin Hawthorne, GMC Boom, Z Writer, Shane Haley. What's up, my man? One of my OGs. And then Hector Godinez. Welcome. You guys are the starting five. If you missed the starting five, it could be because you haven't hit that subscribe button or hit that notification bell. So make sure you're doing that. Get here at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time or earlier, and you just might get shouted out in the starting five. Guys, looking at the overall market, it's been a pretty rocky road today. So the S&P 500 is down 0.8% or 34 points. The Dow is down 178 points or 0.5%. Looking at the NASDAQ, it's taking the biggest hit today. It's down 1% total. Russell 2000 also down 0.8. Looking at crude oil, that closed down $77.29 a barrel. And now looking at Bitcoin as well, still tumbling big time. Bitcoin's down to 28,129. It is down 4%. That was after yesterday's 4% move down. So, you know, with Bitcoin, obviously it's always super volatile. So probably your longtime Bitcoin holders aren't really going to scoff at this. But it's worth noting that we saw a pretty significant downturn in Bitcoin over the last, I would say, 3-4 hours. That 1,100 point move down was, it's at least eye-catching, I would say, in my opinion. We'll see how that goes, though. I mean, certainly still up nearly 100% this year, so, or 75% this year. So I don't think anybody's too worried about that. But man, crazy stuff in the market today. Speaking of crazy, Tesla also down big. Let's take a look at that chart. Here you go. Down 10.5% as we get into the close. You can see over the last 20 minutes or so, really big flush out there. And I asked a question in the poll about Tesla, and I'll explain as to why this stock is down today from a news standpoint. But you can see, obviously, it's really just got flushed through two zones and is now trying to figure out where it should land here. The expected move on this, if you guys can see through Don's charts here, is between 150, 155. So far, about 17 of you guys have voted. 35% say that you're going about a dip on this. 47% say no, and 18% of you are just holding. What's going on, Don? So interesting that the large majority of you, now it's early, large majority of you so far are saying that you're not ready to buy the dip on Tesla. Someone says, someone had mentioned that they're waiting for Tesla to come down further. Tesla dip isn't over, says George Vallejo. Is it Jorge Vallejo or is it George? Looking, oh, the one D says, like that shirt, received my cup and shirt the other day. Just ordered another. Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, you guys want to go order it? The picture should be down below this video. Go click on my store. You can get one of these shirts. There's all kinds of cool stuff, hoodies as well. The one D Lee got himself a coffee mug with this design on it. Bro, appreciate you. Thanks so much. That means the world to me. Man, that honestly, it just helps support me and helps support me creating more content. So thanks so much for that. And I know you're a real one too. Anyway, the one D Lee, you're a Chaos crew member. I mean, you just do it all. So appreciate you. So Tesla, where do Vanath says, where do you see we can buy Tesla? Where can we see Tesla drop? Okay. I was trying to understand the question. Where do you see we can see Tesla drop? Just approximately where can we start buying? Well, I'm obviously not going to tell you where you should start buying. That's going to be to you decide, but up to you to decide. But we look at the chart right now, and it's broken through a lot of support areas of support. This is a 4-hour chart. You can see what it's done. We'll go look at the daily chart. Don says 140, which is, and so we look at, I mean, this huge gap down. It's obviously down 10.25%. You look at the chart here, and this let's say the bottom of this purple zone is 137. The top of this purple zone, which I think could potentially be the first stop for Tesla. If you look at this chart, unless it really holds this area where it's sitting at right now at 162, unless it holds there, I think the likelihood of it coming back down to the top of this purple zone is probably pretty strong. That's going to be around 147, 148. So, because, I mean, you can see that potentially there's a slight, support here, but I think this gap gets filled. I think the more likely scenario is that this gap gets filled. And what I mean by that is that you can see where this closed at way back here on January 30th, I think, and that gap up from their last earnings. So if this comes down and retests, closes this gap at around 148, then I think that's at least the first stop. If it continues to sell off, I think that's where we look at it first. But man, I think there's more pain ahead for Tesla. So why did this happen? What's going on with Tesla? Why are investors reacting to this in this way? I think potentially it has a lot to do with those price cuts and its impact on their profit margins. And we talked about this a lot yesterday and even the day before. When we're looking at Tesla, and 2 years ago, their profit margins were at 50%. 50%. They are producing more. They are selling more units, but that gross profit margin from 50% has been cut in half. So there's got to be a reason for that, and that's what investors are looking for. The real question is, can Tesla sell enough vehicles to offset that gross profit margin? And does it now then deserve the forward multiple that it has right now as well? And I don't know the answer to that just yet. I think we have to wait and see how many they sell. Not only that, but the street was expecting 1.84 million units to be produced this year. 1.8 was where it came in yesterday. So I think that's also an issue. The thing about this as well, especially as Tesla starts to shrink their profit margins even more, and they start to gain more competition from the legacy companies. To me, there's got to come a point in time where Tesla as a company starts to consider marketing. They're going to have to pay for marketing at some point. There is no way, I would say, in the next 4 or 5 years that they get to a point where they don't need to advertise. I just don't see that, right? I mean, even Apple, the largest company in the world, advertises. And so I think at some point they're going to have to bite the bullet and actually do that. And so if they do, that's also going to cut into their bottom line. Let me know what you guys think about that, because I think that this is going to be something that a conversation that continues to be had as they continue to cut prices. I understand that Tesla wants to make it more affordable so they can sell more units, but at what cost? Are you going to bring your profit margins down to a point to where it is now close to a GM or Ford or Toyota, for that matter? And like I said, I don't necessarily know the answer. I just am asking the questions, and I feel like they're the right questions to ask. And perhaps the people that are smarter than me can give a better answer. But right now, I think it's just you just don't know. You don't know what the right answer is here. And of course, you'll have your fanboys, your people that are biased towards Tesla that just say, "Who cares? Just buy Tesla." Okay, fine. But for the rest of us who are truly trying to look at this objectively, like what's the story here? Um, you look at Toyota, their gross profit margin is at 17%. So with this last cut on Tesla, that's close to what Toyota's gross profit margin is. And Toyota, they're now granted Toyota's been around for a while. Their growth story is not that of Tesla's, of course, but their forward PE is at 10 times next year's earnings. Tesla's at 40. You know, so there, like I said, I think that there's the right questions should be asked, and we'll just have to see. Don says short term, there's no rush to buy, but accumulate for 5 to 10 years or sell. I think anything here and below is good. Yeah, if you're going to hold on to it for the next 10 years, you're probably just fine to buy wherever you want, in my opinion. Tesla's going to be around. They're not going anywhere. But, do they start to become, at least from the automotive side of things, do they start to be, fall in line with the rest of the market? I just don't know. Marin says Twitter could be that for marketing, and wouldn't that cut expenses for that? That's a really good point. Is it Marin? So it's still going to cost money, though, right? And maybe that's just part of Elon's grandmaster plan. You could almost kind of take a Barstool approach, right? Where Penn National owns Barstool, and now Penn National doesn't have to spend money, nearly the kind of money that DraftKings and Caesars and all these other ones are spending on marketing, because they have a shit ton of stoolies. Well, Elon has, an entire social media platform that he could advertise Tesla on. And of course, he could just tweet about it, right? But I think you're still going to need some sort of professional advertising marketing team that you're going to have to spend money on. Maybe it's not as much as some of these other legacy companies have to, Super Bowl commercials and that sort of thing. It probably won't be a Tesla thing, but they're going to have to spend some sort of money on marketing, I think, at some point. Okay. American George. Gotcha, George. Let's see here. Elon just has to tweet it and makes headlines. Yeah, I think at some point that's going to run out. You can be a fanboy and be realistic. Agreed. I agree with that. They need to get the Cybertruck out again to generate buzz again, and the fanboys will all run to get one. Yes. To me, I think, I think that's, he spent $44 billion on marketing, then, says Mike Hudson. That's a great point. That's a great point. Don says it's pocket change. But that was $44 billion of his own money, not Tesla's money, right? So that's one way to look at it. But I agree with Chris. The Cybertruck really needs to be a thing, because we've been hearing about the Cybertruck forever, right? That's just like full self-driving. FSD's been coming out for the last 4 years. Like, these timelines and expectations that Elon has set none of them have really been met. Yeah, sure that they've actually happened. Some of them have, but it's like, what are we doing, And what's with the semi-trucks? Like, the semi-trucks are finally out, and Pepsi has them, but what about production for semi-trucks? Like, they could make a shit ton of money off of semi-trucks, and I think that they can make just as much off of semi-trucks as they can the Model Y. So why aren't they pushing for that more? I don't know. 3+ years since the Cybertruck announcement, and nothing. Yeah, they did promise that towards the end of the year, but I thought last year they said that too at some point. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. but I could have sworn that they were promising the Cybertruck in 22, and it did not happen. Cybertruck Roadster FSD better be soon, or they'll be a thing of the past. Yeah, that's I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's like, can we shit or get off the pot with something? You know. Anyways, that's enough about Tesla. I know I've already gone quite a bit on this one, but CSX has earnings today as well as PPG. We can go to the 5-minute chart on this just to kind of take a look, see what's going on here. We are officially closed. Market's officially closed. Let's see. Not really any movement there on CSX. PPG also has earnings today. Ivan Broski says Elon hasn't quite figured out how to not break the glass on the Cybertruck, so that's what the holdup is. Still gonna lose my shit if he announces a 25K vehicle before those come out. Yes, bro, I agree with that 100%. PPG's expected earnings per share today is $1.55. $1.28. The gap estimate is, and the revenue here is $4.41 billion. 8 upward revisions to 2 down. CSX also, as I'd mentioned, has earnings today. I don't know how much movement we're going to see out of them once the earnings come out, but 43 cents is expected there. $3.58 billion in revenue. 9 upward revisions to 7 down. And this is interesting because we watched JB Hunt on Monday, right? You know, the transports include the trains. JB Hunt did not have great earnings. So the split here with CSX should be interesting. Union Pacific is the bigger company that most investors flock towards, but you know, CSX ain't bad either. You look at their valuation here, and it's trading at 16 times next year's earnings. It's in line with the S&P 500 right now. So that's not too terrible. $62 billion. And what did I say? We're expected this first quarter of the year, to bring in $3.5 billion. So it's, I wouldn't say it's undervalued. I wouldn't say it's overvalued either. I'd say it's probably just right for that. Then there's also, as I'd mentioned, FFBC is a ticker symbol, and that is First Financial. Here is the chart for that. I'm also curious to see if we're going to see any movement out of this one on the 5-minute chart when earnings come out for this. But I just figured, hey, there's not a whole lot going on as far as earnings are concerned, so let's take a look at this one, see how the regionals are doing, and kind of go from there. So let's pop back over to PPG. And this is your 5-minute, so we can kind of see what's happening. Right now, it's flat after hours. It closed the day up 6/10. So with the rest of the market kind of doing lousy, at least this one was a green one. Mike O'Brien says the semi-truck is so badly thought out to be a semi-truck, designed by engineers and not truck drivers. Brian, I love you, my man. But if you don't think that other trucks like International and what have you, Mercedes and whoever else makes trucks, Mac, right, wasn't designed by engineers, I got news for you. I kind of sort of hear what you're saying, but the Tesla semi-trucks are actually pretty legit, especially for what they're designed for right now. They're not designed to go cross-country yet, right? And I guess technically you could do that, but that's why Pepsi bought them, because it's more of like a regional truck right now rather than like a transcontinental type of truck. Yeah. All right, so let's see what we got with PPG. Trying to see if there's any numbers on this just yet. Doesn't look like there is. CSX. See if there's any numbers on them. today. Yeah, so it looks like CSX is moving. There we go. Nice little gapper on CSX. That's up 3 1/3% right now. So interesting. Trains seem to be doing quite well. Let's see. Revenue reached $3.71 billion for the quarter, increasing 9% year over year. What did I say where revenue was expected to come in at? 3.58, and they came in at 3.71. So solid beat on revenue there. 9% year over year, driven by solid volume growth and merchandise and coal. Higher fuel surcharge and solid volume growth in merchandise and coal. I just read that twice. My bad. Operating income of $1.46 billion, an increase of 14% compared to the year prior. CSX looks like they crushed this. Damn. 48 cents a share versus 39 cents. Yeah, revenue at 3.71. So CSX did really well. Really well here. Let's take a look at the weekly chart, see where we can go from here. So it's up, close up the day, up 0.8. Now sitting up 3% right now. Here's your weekly chart on CSX. And it's been looking pretty solid ever since, October. Kind of like everything else in the S&P. But transports are a bit mixed. I mean, we saw JB Hunt not do well on their earnings, and now CSX is coming in, and they did extremely well. I mean, lots to like there. These aren't the sexy stocks like Tesla, right? And Netflix that everybody wants to come in and look at, but CSX looks to be quite the moneymaker, and making money is sexy, in my opinion. Let's go back to the 5-minute here. Nice little gapper. Pretty decent move there on CSX. Obviously not a whole lot of volume, but should have a good day tomorrow, that's for sure. Yeah, Acetane CSX rolling. PPG, let's take a look at that. That's also looking like it's moving up. Let's see. PPG. I don't see any numbers yet out of them. But if you guys are just tuning in, go ahead and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/ownthechaos. If you guys are curious about these custom charts, these are Don's from the Don Fran Show. You can see them in the chat. Take a look at Tesla's chart here. You can see that we had, he's got his zones drawn out here. Whoops. I really wish it wouldn't do this. I wish it would just automatically adjust for me. But anyways, these are the custom charts that Don makes with all the zones, expected moves, what have you. It's pretty much done for you. If you want access to this, it doesn't cost hardly anything to you, but it means a lot to us. Go to patreon.com/ownthechaos. You get access to this along with trade alerts, exclusive content from yours truly, and access to our Discord. All kinds of value that's provided there for not a whole lot of money. Go check us out again at patreon.com/ownthechaos, or go buy one of these shirts, baby. You can do that too. Help show support. Keep the channel going. Would love that. Should we load Tesla? I don't know about Coinbase because they're in some trouble. But yeah, I don't know if I would be loading up on Coinbase. But Tesla, I think I would just wait. I don't think Tesla's done selling off here, especially the way that this closed. This is your weekly chart on Tesla, and I think the way that it closed today, if it closes out the week like this, especially if it closes out the week any lower than this, then I think at the very least 148's in the cards. Check it out. Let's go back and check out PPG. That stock's now up 2%. Those numbers got to be out. Bring it down. So that just gapped up. PPG did. Let's see here. What we got? Here we go. Here's the numbers. So PPG came in record net sales of about 4.4 billion. 4.4 billion was the expectation there. So no real surprise on revenue. Organic sales growth of more than 5% versus the prior year, led by higher selling prices. So they have the pricing power. PPG does. Reported earnings diluted per share of $1.11. The adjusted earnings per share was $1.82. Expectations there was $1.55. So they beat on that. Let's see here. What else does PPG have to say? Accelerated margin recovery. Operating margins are up 380 basis points year over year. That's good stuff. That's probably due to the price increase. Supply disruptions moderating, and manufacturing operations are improving. Operating cash flow improvement of about $400 million a year over year. All great stuff. CEO Tim Navish says, as we communicated earlier this month, the pace of our operating margin recovery accelerated during the quarter, which drove a 33% year-over-year increase in adjusted earnings per share. Our improving results are despite macroeconomic conditions that remain challenging and reflect the strengths of our diverse business portfolio and progress that we are making restoring margins in line with our historical profile. So some pretty good stuff here. Looks like their guidance isn't bad either. And the stock is being rewarded for it. It's up now 2.4%. Check back in with CSX. If you guys didn't catch this, CSX crushed earnings as well. And yeah, that's now up nearly 3%. It was up 3%. It's giving back a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Whoa. There we go. Let's see here. Oops, did I do that? Been loading up on Coinbase. Sorry to hear that. Darren Anderson says, I was going to buy Tesla this morning, but I got people way smarter than saying to wait. So I will wait. Gotcha. Take the emotion out of it and trust the charts. Agreed. 54%. So 65 of you have voted so far. 54% of you are saying that you're not buying Tesla here. So that is interesting. Clavier says, was AT&T discussed? Were the results so bad that it would drive a 10% drop? Did AT&T have earnings today? Was it this morning? Did they have earnings this morning? I haven't talked about it. Yeah, it was selling off all day today, looks like. It was down 10.5%. Looks like it sold off right out of the gate at the bell. And it was selling off. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I hadn't looked at AT&T's earnings, but I can pull them up here. So AT&T Q1 free cash flow misses estimates despite mobile strength. What was another? Oh, was it IBM that their cash flow was a problem yesterday too? Not that it's related, but investors do not like that. So especially with a company like AT&T, when you look at a value stock like this, and the main reason that you're buying and holding a stock like AT&T is for income, and their free cash flow is down, meaning that not necessarily that their dividend's in danger, but it's not really a good thing. It means that their dividend certainly isn't going to go up. because their free cash flow is down. For the period, here's your numbers. For the period ending March 31st, AT&T earned an adjusted 60 cents per share on $30.14 billion in revenue compared to the estimate of 59 cents per share, so slight beat, and 30.22, so slight miss in revenue. Included in that was $20.6 billion from its mobility unit as it added 424,000 postpaid phone subscribers during the period. The mobility unit had its best ever first quarter profitability as EBITDA rose 8% year over year, so that's not bad. AT&T churn rates during the quarter continue to remain low at 0.81%. That's an incredible number. The company added 272,000 subscribers to its AT&T fiber internet service. Despite weaker than expected free cash flow during the period, AT&T said it expects to generate at least $16 billion in free cash flow for the full year and has confidence in its guidance. Isn't this crazy? You look at something like Facebook and they're at $40 billion a year. AT&T is at 16. Is this something you should be worried about? I don't think so. I mean, like I said, you're holding on to AT&T because you want to hold on to it forever. If you bought AT&T, chances are you're buying it because you're going to hold it for 20 years. So this moment in time probably isn't going to bother you, or at least it shouldn't, in my opinion. You know, of course, I'm just sharing my thoughts here. You don't have to do anything that I say to do. In fact, you shouldn't. You should just do your own due diligence. But if you're just asking my opinion on it, yeah, I think AT&T will be fine. That free cash flow, I don't think warrants it. This seems to be an overreaction. That cash flow number seems to be an overreaction. But it's never good, especially for a value stock like this to miss on that free cash flow number. Let's check back in with some of our earnings that we're reacting to today. CSX. Let's go back to the 5-minute here. Still just remaining where it was before. It's only up around 3%. They did come in and crush earnings, and stocks being rewarded because of that. So pretty good stuff there. CSX came in and beat earnings per share. They crushed earnings per share, 48 cents versus 43, $3.7 billion versus the 3.5 that was expected on revenue. They crushed that. Profitability is higher as well. Their guidance was good. They feel good about the rest of the year, and that is why the stock is up 3%. I'd venture to say that the stock probably ends up going higher tomorrow after the open. Lots of low volume here on this move for CSX so far, so I would expect that once the real money starts to flow in after the open, that we could see CSX actually do even better. So I'll be really curious to see how it performs tomorrow. Clavier bought AT&T for the dividends. Just curious why they're so bad. I'm not worried about it long term. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, a 10% move down seems to be quite an overreaction. I would think so. Michael says all the technical advancements on vehicles usually starts with trucks because they got a lot of money. Agreed. Well, not only that, but, and I've said this before, truckers are the lifeblood of our economy, period. And it's a great analogy too. Like if you just imagine the U.S. economy as a human, human body, truckers are literally like the blood that carries all the goods and the everything that the body needs to the areas that it needs it at, right? And I think that's just how truckers should be perceived, as like the lifeblood of America. So if you're gonna put money into trucks for Tesla, like that's what you Tesla, I just feel like they just haven't put enough money or research or what have you, or production into the semis as they should. That's just how I would have run the company. Obviously, selling vehicles to the masses is certainly profitable, and they've done very well for themselves. And Tesla doesn't need to know or doesn't need to care about what I think. But if I were running the company, I would have done, the passenger vehicles, and then I would have just put a ton of money towards the semi trucks, a ton. This isn't to say that they're not doing enough. It's just I would really have focused on semis. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for me today. So not a whole lot going on, but I did want to make sure that we cover this. FF. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me. Don't leave. Let's see what FFCB is doing. Is it? Hey, what's up, Jeff? Good to see you, my man. First Financial. Forgot we didn't cover that. First Financial. This is a NASDAQ, right? Yeah, it is. Doesn't look like they really trade after hours, but let's see if their earnings did come out and see if perhaps First Financial could move tomorrow. FFBC. And the only reason that I'm bringing this up is because the regionals have just gotten absolutely crushed, right? And so if they ended up coming out with good earnings like Western Alliance did, then it stands reason to believe that perhaps they could have done really well too, and that we could see a move on this one. So let's see. FFBC. This is according to Stock Titan. If we can get it to load up here. Here we go. Earnings per diluted share, 74 cents. As I'd mentioned, estimated earnings per share were 71 cents. So they came in and beat on earnings per share. $202 million was the expected revenue. They came in on 214. So they beat earnings handily. Net interest margin, FTE basis of 4.5%, 8% basis point increase from linked quarter. Return on average assets of 1.69% to 1.72% on adjusted basis. That earnings per diluted share of 74 cents is a 65% year-over-year increase. That's incredible. Loan growth of $134.4 million. That's a 5% increase annualized. Record adjusted fee income driven by foreign exchange. Listen, I'm not saying that you got to go in and buy FFBC tomorrow, but don't be surprised if this actually goes off. You know, there was so much negative sentiment towards some of these regional banks, especially the quarter that we were in, because of all the people that were, getting their deposits out of the banks, especially the regionals, because of SVB. And you could see that FBC was no stranger to that or wasn't immune to that. And now watch it pop tomorrow. Keep an eye on this one. You may not have come here today expecting me to talk about First Financial Bank. You probably never even heard about it. But that actually might make a move tomorrow. Jeff Chow purchased his first personal camera. No kidding. You just bought your first camera. Jeff Chow used to be my editor. He's been in film for 7 years and now finally has a camera. That's crazy. That's hilarious, though. FFBC post market is 21.30. Why am I not seeing it on TradingView? That's interesting. So it is up, it looks like, but for whatever reason, it's not showing up on TradingView. I'll have to mess with that, find out why. Yeah, I got nothing. Huh. Okay. Well, if it's up, then that's not a surprise. It's at 21.30. I have to pull up maybe another exchange. But yeah, that was a pretty decent move. If you guys missed the other stocks that were reacted to, PPG, doing pretty good here. They beat earnings. Actually, earnings were mixed there. They came in line on a couple of things. Guidance was actually quite good. I think this is more of a situation of investors were expecting something bad and didn't get anything nearly what they were expecting. So now the stock is up. CSX, I think, is the big winner today. They crushed it. They absolutely crushed earnings. And then keep an eye on that wild card, FFBC, because that's going to be something I think to watch tomorrow. I think we could see some pretty decent moves out of that. Keep an eye on that one for sure. And guys, so then that's definitely going to do it for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this afternoon. It was a lot of fun, even though it wasn't like some crazy headliner type earnings. But sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes they will. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Again, you can get these shirts down below. go check out my store down below on this video. Lots of people already buying. There's mugs, there's hoodies, there's all kinds of stuff that you can buy with my Own the Chaos design. So love to have you guys support me in that way. Also, go make sure you're checking out the Patreon at patreon.com/ownthechaos. All kinds of good stuff there too. Crazy value for a little amount of money, and certainly would appreciate your guys' support in that way. Just help support the putting the content out there. And I'll be back Monday doing the same thing at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. Guys, you are the best. I love every single one of you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and have a great one.